Everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. If you are watching, make sure you subscribe below. And on today's Diva Docket, we are doing a bit of a flashback. You know, it's Love Month and all the things. And so just thinking about the process of um, our weddings, the expense that went into that. Of course, love went into it. And then also talking about, being in relationship with someone. What does that mean? And how does that change when once you have gone to the altar and said all the great things? Like,
Mm.
what does that now look like? And what are those differences between, because some people love to say, like, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper or what have you, but things change.
Mhm.
So let's get into it. So you recently, had your wedding
Mhm.
late last year. So, how was that? And, maybe what were some of the expenses that shocked you, or, that maybe you would have done the same, would
Mhm.
not have done the same? Just kind of talk to us about.
So let's start with the day. The
Mm-hmm.
day was absolutely wonderful. Um the weather was perfect. Me always worrying about the things. I was really concerned about it being hurricane weather, in that area. Um but I think hurricane season just came to seem to come really late
Mm-hmm.
because the weather was absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We had a beach wedding, and the evening was perfect. The food, I got so like that was my two biggest things. I want people to dance and eat well. Like those are my biggest things. I wanted
Yeah.
people to have fun and eat well. Um, so it was really cool that we were able to um, the venue actually, which was one of the reasons that we chose it, had a Jamaican chef.
Mm-hmm.
Their head chef was Jamaican. I knew a lot of the because his family's Caribbean, and so they were going to be coming to a hotel where a lot of the staff is Caribbean, and they connected.
Yeah.
The staff came back and told us like y'all are one of the best families we've had to serve
Mm-hmm.
in years.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like this connectivity. It was just amazing. Like the day was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So there's that. The process to get there was a very long journey for
Mm-hmm.
me. Um, One, I had to first get over the fact that I wanted to elope.
Mm-hmm.
So that, throughout was a recurring thing. And to get into the wedding, I don't necessarily think I was surprised by the spending just because you had just gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're very open about money and cost of things. So I wasn't shocked about the spend necessarily. Still hurt. It still hurt. um but I think what was shocking to me was that our costs were so similar,
Mm-hmm.
even though I had half the guests.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little shocking for me. But me and you talked about it several times about the differences. What do I know to be true?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had less guests, but I also had a destination wedding. I
Mm-hmm.
had it at a resort on the beach, so that comes with its own hotel costs and all these
Mm-hmm.
other things that didn't happen when you just have a regular venue and you go to a wedding and you leave the wedding and that thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's, you were able to bring alcohol in. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't bring alcohol. So I think for me, that was like one of the bigger learning pieces were some of the questions that you come out with it that you didn't know going in. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew because of what you had went through, like to ask, can you bring your own alcohol? Can you
Yeah.
not? But it was never a thought for me ever
Mm-hmm.
to ask, can we keep the food from the reception? Because I was
Mm-hmm.
very excited about our venue.
Yeah.
It just knew we were going to be eating on there for a few days, and it was like, nah. South Carolina laws in this particular venue,
So the extra food that was left, they just threw it out.
let's they did something with it. I seriously doubt they threw it out, but they did something with it. We couldn't keep it.
Okay.
But it was not a question that I thought to ask, or even
Interesting, because my mama packed folks up.
if we were so ready. They were like, "Where's our boxes?" But no, so that kind of hurt. It not even kind of. It still hurts because the food was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like it did not have to go to waste.
Right.
Whatever they did with it, it could have been given because the family definitely wanted the food. So that was just, even thinking about like, well, dang, could I have signed a liability waiver? Because that was the issue. Like it's on a resort, people aren't going home.
Yeah.
Like where they're gonna store the food. They pack up all these food in foil pans. It's got this little mini fridge, and they get
Yeah.
sick, and it ties back to the venue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different than having a church wedding, and you pack it up, you going home, and put it in your
Yeah.
refrigerator. Um, so that there was just like little things that I didn't think to that just never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And little things that went wrong with the day, but overall it was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I felt like, well, my experience was different because I think the difference between with us is I like planning.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas you were like stressed out, I was like, this is fun. Let's go look at the table and let's go look at this and let's
Mm-hmm.
play with the chargers and all the things. Like, so I was like, cool, we could do this. I didn't have much of a gauge on how much things should cost. Like a lot of it, I like would Google like market rate just to
Mm-hmm.
make sure I wasn't being overcharged or somebody wasn't trying to run game. But like that that kind of like guided when I was doing a budget of like, okay, what should go where. I think the only part, and luckily I had a friend who knew somebody. The only part that stressed me a little bit was I remember in the venue because um we did a like it was like basically like a barn, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I'm not just getting married in a barn. Like it's gonna be barn chic because I'm not that girl. So there I needed a couple like just drapes, but not even like it was literally three or four like swaths on
Mm-hmm.
the ceiling
Mm-hmm.
so that it just softened up all of that wood.
Mm-hmm.
And this one company was trying to charge like $7,000 to $10,000, and I was like, for four
Woo,
pieces of cloth,
that's
like
more than the venue.
it was more than the venue. So it was just like that last piece coming. That was for me the last piece that kind of finally came together,
Mm-hmm.
and finding somebody who could do it and be reasonable. Because like I was literally, it's four little tier. It's not an intricate. Some people do little intricate things in the ceiling with. We're not doing no patterns. It's nothing like that. So I think that was probably one of the bigger things that was surprising. Of like, oh y'all tripping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, didn't have destination, but we weren't like right in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So there were like some transportation fees involved in terms of people like picking up and dropping off. So one of the things that we did that, I mean, it was an expense, but it saved money, was the greenery that was like behind the bridal table. We rented it from a
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like Oakdale, like a nursery, plant nursery. So they had, pick up, drop off, and there was like transportation involved in that because they're driving essentially 45 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to get that. And um, somebody else had to pick up something. But like that kind of stuff saved a lot of money. Actually got our liquor at Costco in South Carolina
Mm-hmm.
and brought it back up, and like our bartenders did their thing. So yeah, but the day was, and I feel like most brides probably feel like that. I mean, you do all these things and you make all these plans and you have this whole vision. And there are, I think in any wedding, there are things that go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, usually only you and like the people involved in the planning know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like some
The guest,
catastrophic thing that happens and everybody's like, oh my God, it's not that. So like there were things that like went wrong at my wedding, but like I said, the day, it was hotter than we expected, but it was a beautiful day. It went by very fast. Just like I tell anybody that your wedding day goes by very fast.
Mm-hmm.
You're being pulled in different directions, all the things to do, the cake cutting, the dance, the things. But yeah, it was a beautiful day. Had a day wedding. by like 6 o'clock we were packing up, and that was that. So yeah.
And I will say, I think that is one thing I did enjoy about having a destination wedding, because I've always heard that the day goes by so fast. Like there's even memes of like this train zooming by,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, or that the bride and groom, they really eat, and all the things, but we enjoyed our food. We
Yeah.
enjoyed our food, and because it was a destination wedding, we were on the location for 4 days. So
Mm-hmm.
that day of did not feel rushed to me. Like I
Got
feel like I
you.
got to enjoy every aspect of the wedding day, because it was multiple days. You know what I'm saying? It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just like coming in, that's the day, a few hours, and go home. It was just like,
Yeah.
and then the next day we were still there. So I will say, I think that was a little bit of a difference for me. Like I didn't feel like, picture wise, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel like it was rushed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was enough time to get all the pictures that I wanted, because we had a golden hour wedding. It got dark and all the things. But the day of itself, I didn't feel like, wow, it's already time to get married. I felt like we
Mm-hmm.
had time to do the things, enjoy each other before. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think so I got a hotel the night before. So I think that as far as, yeah, the day up, because it's very scheduled, and I will say the eating thing, I think that goes down to either having a planner. Like I
Mhm.
am a firm advocate for, if you could put it in your budget, even if it's a part-time, like a lot of planners now have an option where they'll come in like 3 or 4 months out and take over things, because even then, like if something's not quite right or there's something
Mhm.
you haven't
The
thought of, they can
contracts,
kind
yeah.
of deal with it. So even if you don't get like a full on the whole time full time planner, like I'm an advocate of like at least get you a partial one, especially if you don't like to plan. Like yeah,
Mhm.
but so my planner, like her staff, like before we even sat down, like our plates were made. One of the staff sat there, and I think people didn't get why she was there because she was standing there, so to them it was kind of awkward when people were going to their plates to get their food. Naturally people want to talk to you or
Mhm.
tell you like, oh, you, it was so beautiful, like
Mhm.
they just want to speak and hug, but that's what takes away from you being able to eat.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's like I would wave or say whatever, but like I actually got to eat because
Mhm.
she was sitting there, and had she not been standing there, like it wouldn't have happened. But
Yeah.
like, or even there was a moment where somebody brought like the hors d'oeuvres that were being served during our cocktail hour. Like there was moments where you're making
Mhm.
sure you're eating and drinking. So I
Mhm.
think like if you can, definitely get a planner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a suite the night before the wedding. I slept there. That's where the girls got their makeup done, and so making sure there was plenty of space. So like even though the day goes by fast, like I felt very calm. Even though
Mhm.
like getting up, we got married at like 1 o'clock, so I got up at like 4:30 in the morning to start that whole process of like makeup and breakfast and pictures. But I felt very calm going into it. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't nervous. I think yeah, I don't know if that was like just a feeling sure moment or what that was, but like I didn't feel nerves really that day.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I am an emotional person. Like I cry. I'm a crier, and I didn't. I was that day. I was like, just it was just so calm. Like I just didn't. And it
Hmm.
almost feels weird to me. Like, are you okay? Why didn't you
Yeah.
cry? But like, I just knew, that moment when you reveal your makeup, like it was gonna be snot. I was just like, this is like I was just
Hmm.
calm.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I totally agree about that. The question is, would you do it again?
Get married.
No, have a wedding.
Oh. Be
Ah!
clear. Oh, I
Would you do a 10 year, or like would you go through the wedding planning process again?
I don't think that I would go through the wedding process again as far as like a 10-year renew. I know a lot of people do that, and nothing but like they're beautiful as well.
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
gone to a few renewal ceremonies as well that are just have been awesome. I think, I guess for me, I feel like I had the wedding. I got to have that vision and the things that
Mhm.
I wanted. And of course, got his input on the things that really matter to him.
Mhm.
But like I've done that. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily feel the need to do it again at this point. Now I don't know, so listen, when people make it to 10, 15, 20 years, maybe they done been through some things. They may need, what I'm
You
saying?
need
They
to
might,
celebrate again,
yeah.
right?
So I get it. I'm like, I'm not saying that upon having new information and experiences, my answer might not change.
Mhm.
But as of right now, like I don't feel the need to do it again.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it though, so it's just like, it's not for any of those reasons. It's just like, I can one of the things that we decided to do instead of like gifts, if we could, even if it's like a Thursday to Sunday or whatever, is we like to travel.
Mhm.
So an anniversaries, like try to plan to take a trip.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I look forward to each year is us going somewhere, exploring somewhere new. um I will say, not speaking ill, or we're gonna decree and declare that this will be a long, prosperous, healthy
Mhm.
marriage. If something happened to him, or if for whatever reason this didn't, like, I am very pro marriage. Like, I wouldn't say I would never get married
Mhm.
again if one of those two situations
Mhm.
happen. Like, yeah,
But there wouldn't be a wedding involved.
unless unless it was this person's like first and they felt very adamant about, like, I don't feel the need to do the big thing again.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know. For me, it's an absolute no. I think it is, and it's hard to say that because the day was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beforehand, I wouldn't have thought twice about saying no.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the day of getting to feel like an absolutely gorgeous queen,
Mm-hmm.
seeing like all of the things. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say that I am glad I experienced that. I can definitely say I am glad I experienced that. It's not something that I knew I would have wanted,
Okay.
right, to the day of.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, the process was really hard. Not necessarily the planning part of it. Some of that was hard, um, because, like you said, I don't even necessarily. I just don't like to do the research.
Mm-hmm.
Those things were not enjoyable for me. So, and then taking it from a perspective that I wanted to elope,
Mm-hmm.
like it just felt like I'm, having to do these things. So it wasn't like the joy that you had in
Mm-hmm.
doing it and researching it and all the tools. Now, what I did love about the process, I did a lot of technology stuff in
Mm-hmm.
mine. So I had digital invitations. Learning to
Mm-hmm.
create that was amazing. I got so many compliments on it. Like the websites, getting to work with my cousin on the website, like the technology piece of it, I would do that again and again. My mom was like, maybe you should do this for other people. And I was like, that's one of those things where I think the joy comes out when you have to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I learned so much in doing like the digital parts of things and make, some of the little DIY stuff. It was fun to do, like the technology part of it.
Yeah.
But I do, if I'm being honest, I do feel like I lost a lot by choosing to have a wedding. I have family that has not spoken to me
Mm-hmm.
out of it. I have friendships that were, severed because of it. That I just have to deal with. Like, I feel like there was a lot of
Because they
things
weren't
that,
invited.
no, just because during the process things happen between these two sets of friends, and it's like, lifelong decisions have been made because of moments.
Hmm.
So, just feeling like I was put in a place where it's like having to make decisions. Not the wedding day is gone, but now I'm having to make lifelong decisions because of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said, the whole family thing dynamic was a little hard having to choose guests because I was very adamant that we were going to have a smaller wedding.
Yeah.
I wanted to be more intimate. So that process alone was very emotional in choosing who to. So I wouldn't want to go through any of that again. Like, to
Mm.
me, that loss was not worth the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, And I think there's some of that, unfortunately, in every wedding. I
Yeah.
think that people are very interesting around weddings and funerals.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think it's just at the end of the day important to remember that this is this couple's day, and whatever it is that they want to do, you kind of got to respect that. And I think I will say, being on the other, like, I felt like this before, but I think being on the other side of it confirmed it even more. Like, I'm not necessarily offended. Certain things that people fall out about, I'm not offended if I'm not asked to be in your wedding. I'm not offended, especially if it's something small, if I'm not invited to the wedding, because
Mhm.
it's expensive.
It is
And so it's
expensive.
not saying that this person doesn't fool with you or whatever, but especially like, you know, I've had family members who had weddings where it was like 12 people. You might not
Mhm.
be one of them 12. And that's not
Right.
saying anything about
That
you,
you're
but it's
not
like,
important
it's
or yeah,
12
yeah,
people.
yeah.
So I think that's the unfortunate side of
Mhm.
it, I
Mhm.
think. But in doing the look back, is there anything that maybe you spent money on that you wouldn't do in hindsight?
No, I don't. No. And again, maybe it would have been if I hadn't had conversations with you.
Mm,
But there were things like all the blown up pictures that you see in these reels,
yeah.
and the life size. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing. I didn't do seating charts. They were
Mm-hmm.
all like all that was digital. My menu was digital.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, no, because I had you as a guide, and then I
Mm-hmm.
also knew I wanted to do a lot of things digital.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I don't think that now there. I think I do and I don't regret. There is a purchase that I think about. Like one I was really really glad we did. Like you were talking about cost, maybe that surprised me. It
Yeah.
would have been the flooring,
Mm.
right? So we had our vinyl decal for our floor, but they were charging like $2,000 to $3,000
Mm.
just for the floor design, even though I was providing the design,
Interesting.
just to do the flooring. That's not including picking it up. And then we had a
Yeah.
late night Saturday wedding.
Yeah.
So if you needed a Sunday weekend pickup, then there was extra fees. Like it was just all these, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
So thankfully, my husband's brother's girlfriend was able to do it. She has a wedding planning business,
Yeah.
an event, so she was able to go in. One of his friends jumped in. They were like all hands on deck, and
Yeah.
they put that thing down, and it was gorgeous. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
had the benefit of being able to save money there. But
Mm-hmm.
even the cost of chairs, like you see these,
Mm-hmm.
gold chairs, they're $8 to $12 a chair, and that
Mm-hmm.
ends up being over $1,000, $2,000 for a few hours, and then again,
Yeah.
fees for pickup if it's on a Sunday, and
Mm-hmm.
late fees for like. I wasn't going to pay that. Hindsight, if there was anything that I would have paid for, it would have been chairs. But I'm still glad I didn't.
Yeah. Nobody. I mean, nobody's gonna put chairs.
And that's what made me make the decision, because I kept going back to all the weddings, and I was like, which color chairs do they have?
Yeah. Nobody remembers
I
it.
don't know. I mean,
Like,
I guess you would remember the gold chairs, but other than that,
unless you just did something crazy tacky, nobody's remembering
yeah,
stuff like
no,
that.
yeah. So yeah, it's those little things.
Yeah. I can't remember if I said this or not before, but like, I think the only thing that I probably wouldn't have spent. So I did a sim. I still did the like save the dates and things. I went on like their Zazzle types and ordered them ahead of time using like their promo codes. So I saved a lot of money on the stationery stuff because I was able to like get a holiday sale.
Mm-hmm.
But we did like QR codes for the seating chart, and the menu, and like basically the program that I had little fans or whatever so that people could see all that stuff through a QR code,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
people throw away paper. So it's like, why spend $500 on something that
Mm-hmm.
people throw away? Didn't do party favors. Don't regret it. Nobody remembers your party favors.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think of is we had these. I want to say they were like five. I feel like they were like 20 by 30. Like, we use our engagement photos as part of like the decor
Mm-hmm.
in the reception space. And so, what do you do with those after the wedding? Luckily, like, and I viewed it as like a pay it forward type thing. So we had a sign that said it was like unplugged. It was some
Mm-hmm.
little cute little poem. It might have been like Amazon or something. And so I was able to let you use it at your
Mhm.
wedding and then give it to Chaston, for
Mhm.
her
Mhm.
business, so that it's actually like,
It's
oh, we
gonna
paid
get
$40
used.
for it, but
Yeah.
it's actually being
Yeah.
used. Like it's useful. So it's like, yeah, I now have three of these big pictures of me and Brandon, and it's like, yeah, this is not something you hang up. You know what I mean? We have a big
Yeah.
one when you first come in, like, of our actual, like, one of our wedding photos. But it's like, we don't need these three
What are you
20
gonna
by
do? Yeah.
30s of our engagement. Like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's then shift, having been married for a little while and kind of thinking about, being in relationship with people. What are maybe some of the differences or things that, yeah, things that you really have to go about differently being married versus just kicking it?
Um. So we have talked about this in therapy and with each other. I think because everybody asks us like, how does it feel? We both say we chuckle it like the same because we lived together before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but his response is that he just feels like you're more intentional, like right, you're about your decisions because you know that now, even though we were living together before, now they truly are impacting somebody else's, you know, life.
Yeah.
And for me, it was. I mean, you gave us a card, and you're like one of your gifts was a teacup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like make the extra cup of tea,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, kind of that's what it is. Like we got, a really nice towel warmer
Mm-hmm.
for our wedding gift, and it's whenever my towel goes in, his towel goes in too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just making sure that we've always been thoughtful of each other, but you just become more thoughtful of it because you realize that like this is life now. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
it's a forever thing now. So you want to do those like little moments of things,
Mm-hmm.
and thoughtfulness. And I mean, it kind of just goes to his point, like just being really intentional about the things. Of course, my mind naturally is going to go to finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what does that look like? Now you're talking about taxes and filings, and that becomes different. You know, do we need to redo beneficiaries on our, policies? Open
Mm-hmm.
enrollment is coming up. Now do we want to get on? You don't have to wait for that. I do know people that are on each other's insurance before marriage, but for us, that was a consideration. Open
Yeah.
enrollment is coming up. Do we want to get on? So it became a lot of like the financial considerations as well, that you talk about before, but I don't know, when you're married, that it becomes a different weight,
Yeah.
with those financial decisions because now the government in it. So there are really strong impacts. Um, Even medically, there are strong impacts when a person is sick and a person has a spouse, and that person can make decisions. Um, if you decide not to have certain documents in place, like that's really the person that's going to get to make decisions about your life is your spouse. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to have like those conversations, and setting now like a monthly meeting. Y'all did it before, but now we've like set a monthly meeting on the calendar,
Mm-hmm.
um, like to have some of those deeper discussions because there were questions I didn't necessarily think to ask because I knew they wouldn't impact me, especially when it comes to filing taxes.
Yeah.
But now, like, there is a conversation with him about, Divas and Ducats filing taxes
Mm-hmm.
and the other business filing taxes and what
Mm-hmm.
that looks like for us, and, IRA contributions because income is being imputed. And,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's just, for me, it's like a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I really think, I mean, finance continues to be a thing throughout the marriage, but I think those initial transitions,
Mm-hmm.
are conversations, to, like, to your point, redoing your will, make sure y'all have a will, changing, benefit, or just having a conversation about, like, what you would want. Um, I think that, yeah, that happened within the first couple months.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we have like a, right now, twice a month, like, budget meeting to kind of talk through, like, what are the things that we, as far as like our shared things, what needs to kind of go into the pot to make sure
Mm-hmm.
those are taken care of. So those are definitely things that the change when it's not just you, or this change is my man, my man.
Mhm.
And so I think the from the emotional side, or from the, yeah, I don't know if you want to call it emotional, more so spiritual, depending on how you look at it. I think that what changes is, and this is gonna sound very blunt, but unless you plan to do it, like, you can't just leave. And so having to work through issues like, yeah, what does that look like? How do we get through challenges? I think we've discussed in other episodes about that mirror. So when things come up, because it's life, you're always growing. You're not necessarily growing at the same rate. And so
Mhm.
that can be frustrating. And so when there's this thing about your partner that, you know, I don't want to say needs to, is an opportunity to grow, um and you're there, or you're kind of in your process, and they may not be, or vice versa. You may
Mhm.
be, they may be growing, and you kind of like, I'm good, but you're together. Like, that is what changes, because
Are
it's
we
like,
good?
yeah,
Yeah.
this is a group
Are we good?
project.
Yeah.
And so I think that that definitely changes, because again, if this is your boyfriend, or this is your partner, however you want to label it, if something don't feel good in that moment, you could just be like, all right, well, I'm done. Like, that's it. It's over today.
And it's that
When
easy.
you, like, even if you decide, and that's a very serious decision. Even if you decide to end a marriage, that's not just it. You have to, in some states, be separated for a certain amount of
Mhm.
time. Someone has to move.
Mhm.
You have to untangle the things that you
Mhm.
put together, the accounts, and do all the things. So, like,
The
it is a,
name changes.
right, if you want to take, assuming if you change your name, if you want to change it back.
Mhm.
And so it's like, it's a big thing.
It's not a breakup.
Yeah, it's not just like, all right, well, I'm out, and
Mhm.
so I think that is what changes. And I think the thing that I am, I still don't have the answer to, but one of the things that our pastor said when we were in premarital counseling was talking about this concept of dying to yourself. Because when you get married, it's now we comes before me.
Mhm.
And what I found is the more successful marriages get that, and they're good at, okay, whatever we're doing that's better for us, it might not be the best thing for you, or the most convenient thing for you. And so constantly there's moments of that where you have to do that. And the part that I haven't figured out the answer to is, what at what point does maybe dying to self
Mhm.
transfer over into self betrayal? Because I do think that, yes, you have to, like I said, it's a us, it's we first. But I also think, and I'm just, seeing things, reading things, I think, when you talk about your individual journeys, you also have to make sure that you're not, I don't want to say losing yourself, but I don't have a better word for it. You have to make sure that you are still good
Mhm.
at the end of the day. Like, yes, I made these compromises, I made these sacrifices, but I guess, and speaking it out loud, I guess that's the part. Like, if you're making these compromises, these sacrifices, are you doing that, or are you compromising yourself?
Mhm.
So I think that line is constantly, not constantly, but I think that line in marriage is kind of like something you have to figure out. And maybe, again, I don't know, the top two reasons for divorce are sex and finance. So I don't know if people in that situation, those situations, feel like there was something of like, what, this is now, I can't compromise myself in that
Mhm.
way, or what. But it's just something that I think within my first, these first 2 years of marriage, have been trying to figure out and
Mhm.
make sure, because that was always important to me, especially um, getting married. I didn't get married in my late 20s, early 30s. Is like still having a sense of me, and making sure that I'm like, that was always important to me.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a major concern. We talked about that before on both ends. Like, it's more talked about for the man to be scared to enter marriage because of the fear of losing that, right? But women definitely feel that way, especially older women um, feel that way. Like, what sacrifices am I going to have to make um, to enter into this marriage? Like, how much of myself am I going to have to lose to enter to this marriage? And I think it's interesting that it's more commonly spoke about that the man is scared to enter into the marriage because of all that he has to lose. But there have been studies
Mm-hmm.
that show that married men live longer,
Mm-hmm.
that they are healthier,
Mm-hmm.
and that the women are actually the ones who
It takes them down.
it takes them down. And it's not, men think about it from the financial aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
but physically, um, it really drains out the woman.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, people can think about, like, I guess the losses and that end. I think when, like, to your question of like how much of it is dying to self for the benefit of the relationship, and how much it is just like you said, self-betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you have to kind of like evaluate, like, why do you feel like it's self-betrayal?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it because you had to um you know start talking about money that you normally wouldn't have to share about? Is that necessarily self-betrayal? Is that just a new learned habit that you're gonna have to get to being transparent?
Yeah.
um and can is it, I used to could just hop in my car and go out, and now I got to tell somebody my whereabouts? Is that
Mm-hmm.
self betrayal? Like,
Yeah.
I guess it really depends on, like, a lot of it is your the point of the marriage is to lose some of your independence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like you just have to question, is like some of it just a respect thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like going into the marriage, or is the dying to self you constantly having to compromise in areas where on the other end you're being belittled, you're being gaslighted, you're being lied to, you're being um treated in a way that really makes you feel like you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
And um but you're having to constantly tell yourself, I'm compromising. I'm
Mm-hmm.
compromising for the marriage. I'm doing this for the benefit of the marriage, because the compromise comes on both sides. And
Mm-hmm.
normally, most people, regardless of, that situation, even the person that's doing the belittling, even the person they feel like they're compromising as well. So, but I do feel like in the compromises, in the transparency, at no point in time do I feel like I am dying or this person is not, even if we have to figure out how to talk about it, because
Yeah.
you're not saying it in the best way. At no point in time do I not feel like this person is not trying to bring me honor,
Mm-hmm.
and that this person is not trying to do what is best for us. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there have been decisions that, like, we've made that I'm like, for me, that sounds crazy, you
Yeah.
know? But at the end of the day, it's going to harm me to
Right.
make that change that this other person needs.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, like you said, you like to be understood. I can understand from your perspective and your upbringing why you would need this thing, even though it's the furthest from my mind. But it is not going to harm me
Yeah.
to do this thing.
I think what I hear you saying is you can't be selfish. That's what I get from what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying. Like there's a certain element of consideration
Yeah.
is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you definitely can't be. I mean, I don't think you would even get to the marriage though. Um, if
What
there was that level of selfishness, I would hope not. But
I think there's some transitions because I think in
mhm,
having certain conversations, financial conversations, there's things of like, well, I'm used to doing it like this, you know
mhm,
what I mean?
mhm,
And
mhm,
so having to check that. So I don't
mhm,
mean like obviously I'm not saying like there's a butthole or
mhm,
whatever,
mhm,
but there might be
mhm.
moments of like I have to
Yeah,
adjust
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah.
when I say
Yeah,
selfish.
yeah.
Yeah,
I do think that there are levels of sharing that you never thought you would have to do.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, oh God. But yeah, so I think those will be some of the biggest things, like our wedding recaps, and
Mhm.
some of the things we would and wouldn't do, and kind of
Yeah.
like the differences Newly in for me, a little over a year,
Mm-hmm.
for you that we would have seen, because that is a common question that I have always heard. And people, even now, ask me, like, how do you feel now that you're married? What is this big change that happens once you get married? So that was just our best way of trying to put
Yeah,
into
it's
words some of
that.
the
It's
changes
like,
that we
yeah, it's
see.
mentality.
Yeah.
That part shifts. But yeah, we hope you all are doing well. Enjoy your Valentines, Galentines, all of the things. Take care of yourself, and follow us on the things. We are Divas and Ducats, Facebook and Instagram. Um, divasandducats.com, divaadvice at gmail.com, divaadvice at gmail.com. Subscribe if you have not. And
Subscribe.
yes, in the meantime, in between time,
Have a great attitude.
bye.
Bye.